Thank you for listening to Greening of the Great Lakes, online at mlive.com/environment. Here's more with your host, Dr. Kirk Heinze.
Well, Russ and I are just outside Lansing at the Ingham County Fairgrounds for the 2016 Sustainable Living Summit. The Sustainable Living Summit is a new feature of the Michigan Energy Fair, which is hosted by our friends at the Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association. And to continue our coverage at the summit, it's a pleasure to welcome to the program Kathleen Francois. Kathleen is the Executive Director of GreeningDetroit.com and the Grassroots Environmental Action Team. Kathleen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kirk. Nice to be here.
You've got a booth here, Kathleen. Tell us a little bit about GreeningDetroit.com.
We do. Well, GreeningDetroit.com is a massive website. We're an online mirror of the Metro Detroit community with a slant on sustainability, ecology, natural wellness, and education for those things. And we do a lot of media sponsoring. So we're a PR firm with a media slant.
Well, it sounds like you cover all the dimensions of sustainability. I mean, you mentioned healthy living, you mentioned environment, you're here at an energy fair, Sustainable Living Summit, the whole spectrum of sustainability.
Absolutely. We represent about 350 to 400 different organizations from all over, different sectors. Government, about 120 nonprofits, educators K through 12 and universities, everybody who's involved with sustainability or natural wellness or ecology in those manners, and then of course healthy living and that side of it as well. So a lot going on. There's a calendar for events and we do a lot of media sponsorships, and this is one that's kind of near and dear to our heart.
Well, this Sustainable Living Summit in this area is a new phenomenon, and I think this is the first ever. Obviously, you decided not the first ever. There have been some in the past?
This is actually the 16th annual Michigan Energy Fair. The Sustainable Living Summit is the premier portion of that, and we're actually looking at doing this event in Detroit and Grand Rapids as well, kind of expanding it and taking it back and forth. We know that everybody can't make it to one in a particular weekend or the middle of the state or one side or the other, so we want to travel with this one a little bit.
Kathleen, the word sustainable gets thrown around quite a bit, and there are multiple definitions of sustainability and sustainable living. How do you see it?
Well, sustainable to us is really making sure that we're using everything over, or that can be used over, being very aware of what we're throwing away and what we're taking into account as far as energy goes. Energy efficiency is a big portion of that. GreeningDetroit.com started in 2010 and was really more about 5 different products and energy auditing. It was about really educating the public. So when you go on there, you'll see different buttons, and it's very visual, about manufacturing and different types of facilities that you can really find, utilize the information in there about how to make your building better. We know that homes can be reduced down as far as energy costs and efficiency when it comes to that, but the bigger blueprint comes from facilities, large buildings like the one we're in now, that really a lot of that energy can be wasted. So finding those new technologies and promoting those innovations is really key to what we're all about.
A question I like to ask, a lot of homeowners or business owners say, yeah, we want to be green, we want to get in on the sustainability action, but sometimes it just seems a little bit overwhelming. People who just want to get into it, where do you start?
Well, if they log on to GreeningDetroit.com, they're going to see different buttons. There's one that says Greening Your Home. There's information on there, little teachings on how to. We like some of the information that's going out through some of the mass utilities, but sometimes it's more interesting to find the innovations that are coming from smaller companies, and going to shows like this one really make a big difference. There's a lot of different organizations. There's a lighting company here that has a brand new type of LED that I've never seen before. So it was really exciting for me to be here just to learn about that. Really finding out more about what's natural and how to keep things going and growing in a way that's going to be, like we talked about, sustainable. Things that don't use up or take out of balance our natural resources as well.
In terms of renewable energy, quite a bit of success in Michigan over the last several years with respect to wind energy in particular. Solar's been a little slower to emerge. Are you seeing greater emergence of solar as you look about the landscape?
Absolutely, absolutely. Solar farms are one of those things that you're going to see more and more about. That's really about putting up a lot of solar panels in one particular area and then farming that particular solar panel distribution out to different homes or different businesses that want to buy a piece of that. So I think in particular different smaller areas, smaller communities, you're going to see this new concept of how to utilize solar in those ways. Also, the technologies are a little different. Just like lights and lighting, it becomes an art form to whomever is working with that particular product. So the technologies are gonna take a leap, and I think that's what's really fun and exciting about learning about new ways to engineer things and how we're really working to capture that and use that energy, including the wind energy, more efficiently.
From the Sustainable Living Summit, I'm talking with Kathleen Francois. She's the Executive Director of GreeningDetroit.com and Grassroots Environmental Action Team. You wear that other hat. Tell us a little bit about the Grassroots Environmental Action Team.
Yeah, well, that one came out, it was kind of born out of necessity, really. We've been working as GreeningDetroit.com on different programs, and there's one in particular. I sit on the Workforce and Education board for Oakland County, and my business partner John Carlos and I have been doing that for a couple years, and he also sits on the Economic Development Committee as well. And one of the things that we came up with was a steam-powered student conference series. That was something that he had piloted a few years back in a school in Birmingham. We redid that with a little bit more of a slant, and looking at that program, we decided that along with maintaining your mineral rights and projects like Parker Village out in Highland Park were things that we really wanted to get into, but the idea of how do you fund those programs to get to the people that you really want to receive your message, that really takes a lot more funding, a little different sponsorship than just a for-profit company. So we've developed this particular nonprofit to work with those programs that are inside of our own house at GreeningDetroit.com and outside as well. So we're really excited about getting out the messages to different people on how to educate people from the grassroots level what needs to be done in order to be more sustainable.
Kathleen, thank you for mentioning Parker Village, because we're going to be interviewing those folks next. So you provided a transition for me ahead of my transition. Very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
As you look around among young people, for example, I know that you have children yourself, the folks that are committed to green sustainability, I mean, you have to feel pretty optimistic about the future. And you've got all these organizations that are part of your information network. I mean, what's your outlook for the future?
I think if we start kids young, and I really appreciate the different school systems that work with the Apple Day and trying to think of the green schools from the United States Green Building Council, some of the programs that are developed there, some of the nonprofit stuff, different companies and governments and organizations that we've talked to that are really showing interest in teaching infrastructure, because that's really what we're having a problem with nationwide now, is being able to rebuild the infrastructure of the communities and the nation. And you know, Michigan is not lost in that struggle. And what we want to do is really see things start at a younger age, teaching kids that there's great jobs out there that aren't necessarily just IT or attorneys or doctors. You know, we have a tendency to push our kids sometimes to some of these higher level positions, or we think are higher level positions, when the true ability to create and maintain a sustainable infrastructure is going to start by teaching kids that are hands-on and like to work with their hands, that those gifts that they have and those skills, once they're placed into something fun, can also be utilized in something that's fun to do as a job as well. So new careers and educating kids from a younger space and place. And that's what that student conference series is all about as well.
Well, one thing on that note, we've talked to a lot of university administrators, presidents across the state of Michigan. More and more young people are interested in combining, say, engineering or business with a sustainability cognate or a and then there are actually some majors in sustainability that are emerging. So whatever is happening at the grassroots level is certainly finding its way into the universities.
And that's really where we're creating our push with our student conference series, and it's gonna be breaking out in the next couple months. Hopefully, you'll see more and more information. And as we set up our website and everything else with the Great Action Team, that's going to be a huge portion of the development.
Well, one of those websites we've been talking about is greeningdetroit.com. You need to go to greeningdetroit.com. I've been talking with Kathleen Francois. She's the executive director, and we're here at the Sustainable Living Summit outside of Lansing.
MLive Media Group is a Greening of the Great Lakes partner. To read Kirk's blog and to hear our show archives, please visit mlive.com/environment.
This is Greening of the Great Lakes with Dr. Kirk Heinze. We'll have more in a moment.